Hey, it's Fran. We're here at the Vulture Spot with the team behind Give Me the Ball. Welcome to Sundance. It's a great title.
I didn't even know that's what we named it. I guess I say it all the time, though, right?
Yeah.
You know, she made it easy for us, yeah.
Yeah, they said, oh, this is easy. And I'm like, huh? What? I guess I say it all the time. Give me the ball. This means accepting responsibility. I'll do it.
Yeah. Liz and Elizabeth, I was wondering if you could talk about the first time you became aware of Billie Jean's legacy.
For my grandmother, tennis was a lifeline. She came from a working class family and she played tennis and it was like her release. And she died a couple months before her 101st birthday. And if she knew I was sitting here on this couch with this lady, well, she knows somehow. So it feels like I've always been aware of Billie Jean's legacy.
My grandfather actually saw Billie play at Wimbledon in the early 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
This is a great interview because I'm learning.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Really?
I think, also I'm a history lover. I'm very interested in the women's movement and all the activities in the late 60s and 70s. And so you can't even begin to learn that history without, Billie popping up everywhere. So
One of the parts of the film I love is when you talk about the first tour and how you and the group were kind of a team of rivals, where you both had to have solidarity with each other, but you were also going out and playing every day. What was it like to maintain that solidarity? Was that tricky to do on that first tour together?
Well, it's interesting how life works because followers choose leaders. Leaders don't choose followers. And I look back and I realized in the old days, even when I was in elementary school, the kids would choose me to lead. And I go, oh, no. And all of us were the same as far as we'll fast forward to the tennis now. And they kept pushing me to be their leader because I kept saying, no, well, why don't you do it? Or no, why? Come on, you guys. No, we want you. And so finally one time I went home and just said, okay, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to go full Monty on. I'm going to go full out. And it was tough, but it was wonderful at the same time. Because I remember when I sat down about Chris Evert when she was doing well and the older players were having trouble. And this is like 1971. We're not talking, we're just getting started. And I saved the best for last because I was saying we have to be good to the younger generations coming up, be hospitable, because we've been through a lot. And Chris Evert got the front of Newsweek after we spent 6 weeks with this reporter. And she wasn't on our tour yet. We're trying to get her. Her dad wouldn't let her play. So the thing I came up with to get them, because I said, she's our next superstar, which I get excited because I love history and I want each generation to get better. And who's the next winner? I mean, right now at the Australian, I'm looking at all the younger players, men and women, like who's going to be the next generation coming up. I'm always looking for that. And it's like, I said to them, we have to change. We cannot be like this. We have to be good to each other. We have to be kind to each other. And we have to be hospitable. And the most important thing is Chris Everett's going to be our next superstar, and she's going to put more money in your pocket. And I left your money in your pocket last because it's about them, and that's what matters to them. We were trying to get started. We had no money, and we wanted the prize money to be increased. And I think it's important for athletes to know their business, to understand the business they're in. And I would say that's one of our biggest weaknesses.
I was struck by just the opening moments of the film where you ask if they caught the Liberty game. And I was wondering, there's ongoing pay discrepancy with the WNBA, and what are your hopes for them as they build that league?
It's not that easy. There's 2 other leagues, and it's really, really hard. My former husband and I owned tournaments. We started a tournament in '68. We made money that one, so Larry and I think, oh, this is really great. So we have another one next year. We lost money. Oops. And you start to understand the sponsorship, the media, all the different factions you have to have together to have this entity to work and get fans out and get excitement and growth, like you're talking about growth. They're going to have to work through that. But I'll always remember David Stern, who is the commissioner of the NBA. He was a marketing genius. I was sitting him at the U.S. Open because he loved playing tennis, and I said, you have to make a promise to me. Well, it took up, the whole time I'm thinking, I don't have the courage to ask him, but I finally went, Billy, you're going to regret if you don't ask him. So I go, David? He goes, yes. I said, you have to promise me one thing, that you will not let the women's basketball, the WNBA, fail. You cannot let it fail because we'd already had a few. And if you look at every sport, they've had leagues that come and go, and people get all wound up about no, it's not ready then. So anyway, he said to me, "I promise." And I mean, the way he said it was such conviction. But he had NBA owners. The men own the women first, so that's one of the challenges because they own this percentage and they own this percentage. And I love it when athletes, especially women, say, "Well, we deserve." No, deserve what? We have to make it happen. We don't deserve anything. We need to do it. Not. Why does everybody automatically think they deserve something? I'm like, huh? Like what, they want more money, but if every team's losing money, then what do you think? I don't know. These are questions. A lot of sports are losing money too, but they still make it happen. So it's not as cut and dry as people think.
Yeah, absolutely. You were mentioning keeping up with the current tennis superstars. Are there any players or any one particular player you watched today whose play style really reminds you of your own?
Oh, no, I don't think like that, though. No, they're so much different. And I mean, they're so much better. And they're very different the way they play because of the rackets, all the coaching they have, all the information we have available. It's so different now. They're just better. Every generation gets better. But the one thing they don't do as well is volley and transition to get to the net. And that's where I wish they would use the older generations just for that part. Teach the coaches how to coach it. But yes, I look at all of them. There's, let me think, Jovic, I think, coming up. Andreeva, Wang's looking good from China. No, we have a lot, and I do look at them, but they're the next generation.
You discussed in the film one of the challenges of the Battle of the Sexes was doing 5 sets instead of 3.
Well, not for me. I knew I was going to do it no matter
Well,
what.
of course.
But I never played 5 sets.
Right,
But
yeah.
I walked into the meeting with Bobby.
It was never
and
advantage.
Yeah.
I walked into the meeting with them, and I would never wanted to play that match because he'd been asking me to play. But Margaret Court lost to him in May, and I said to Larry, "I think she'll win, but if she loses, I have to play him. I don't have a choice. I have to do this." And of course, she lost terribly. We've all been there. Oh my God, she was so nervous. And I said, well, we have to wait until after Wimbledon. That was May when they had their match, and then I want to get Pat. And we formed our association 4 days before Wimbledon. So you can imagine all that's going on. Then having to play him. And then I still have to play the Virginia Slims Tour. Like I tried to get out of playing that tournament that week, and I couldn't get out because we were under contract. And I go, I hear you. So I played in Houston tournament, plus had to play that match, plus the media. The media was great. We had lots of media. But we needed media. We didn't have social, we didn't, it's so different now. The media and the photographers and the cameramen and the reporter, everyone told our story. And that's the reason we have women's professional tennis today. And I hope the older people that were around then, if they're still alive, know how much we appreciate that they told our story. Well, even playing Bobby Riggs was televised. 90 million people watched it.
Yeah.
That's exposure for 90 million people around the world, plus the U.S. And so I knew I had to win. And Title IX had just been passed in 72, which is huge. That's the reason girls have athletic scholarships to college. Why do we have women's sports today? Why do we have professional women's sports? Title IX. Without that, we would have never made it. I went into that meeting, to your point, and said, let's play 5 sets. Don't change the court dimensions. Don't get into any of this boy-girl thing. Let's go. And they said, really? You'll do that? And I said, yes. I said, Bobby, do you want that? He goes, oh, that's better. 5 sets. He's thinking, she's never played. I got her. Let's go make more bets, right? So, no, I just walked in and said, I'd like that. I was sweet, but I was firm.
I was curious, I guess for any of you, given we're at Sundance, which Robert Redford had a huge impact on, what you're carrying with you with his legacy, and if you ever had the chance to meet him as filmmakers.
Well, yeah. I mean, I my first film was in this festival 28 years ago.
Wow, what was it?
It was called The Farm, Angola, USA, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a film about some men in cars. And when you first come as a new filmmaker, you kind of walk around with imposter syndrome, like, how am I here? What is this? And then this man, there was the filmmaker director brunch, and there was this, Bob comes in, and he says, oh, that's a great, he like immediately knew who I was. He gave me a big hug and he told me congratulations on the film. And I, a little bit of that imposter syndrome sort of like, drizzled away. And I've been coming, to this festival. This is my 8th film. And Bob has been a part of each and every one of them. And I've had the honor of him introducing my films. And I think it's kind of like we all take it for granted, Sundance, the Sundance Institute. When you see, Bob is a little like Billie. Bob gave back so much. There was a whole generation of filmmakers, Chloe Zhao, Ryan Coogler, who we would not know, Barbara Koppel, who we would not know were it not for Bob nurturing their talents. There's actually, a lot of connection between Bob. Not so many actors have kind of put the community and building the community around them kind of front and center in their careers. And so I think Bob and Billie share some DNA.